Welcome everyone to the No BS Podcast, the gaming news podcast where we ditch the sugarcoating and give it to you straight. I'm Blake.
And I'm Steve.
And if you're looking for real talk without the BS, you've come to the right place. Before we jump in, don't forget to stay connected with us. Follow us on X at No BS Podcast GG for all the latest updates and hot takes. Check us out on our YouTube channel, No BS Podcast GG, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm also on TikTok at Blake No BS throughout the week, so make sure to stop on by and say what's up. Love what you're hearing? Show your support by liking this episode, dropping a comment with your thoughts, and subscribing to keep up with all our future content. This week we focused on Ubisoft and the possibility of going private, Astrobot's success, the future of Palworld, overpriced PS5s, and the controversy around Dr. Disrespect. Alright, let's cut to the BS and get into today's episode. Welcome everyone to the No BS Podcast. It's been a good but definitely long week, and I'm excited to talk about these topics today. So what's been going on with you, Steve, this past week, and any games you've been playing?
Not as much as I would like. It was a fairly busy week with work, so I didn't get a whole lot of time to really play much. Played a little bit of WoW Friday, but mostly just kind of playing a little bit of Balatro. It's a pretty fun game. If you haven't played it, definitely should check it out.
I'm kind of surprised, man, with your Steam inventory. You usually have an abundance of games to choose from. I've seen that. It's a long list of games.
Yeah, I feel like I buy every time a simulator game drops, I'm buying it. I don't know what it is about those games, but I can just spend hours playing them.
Well, every time we talk about a game, you're like, what, you haven't, pre-ordered that? You haven't put it on your wish list? You haven't gotten it ready to go? And I'm like, no, I got like maybe 15 or 16 games on my Steam, and then like I know you've got like 100. You got a freaking library full of video games.
I think I have like $6,000 worth of games on my Steam library.
Yeah, well, I guess you're the right person to give reviews on these games. So I tried Predecessor, which is a game. It's a free-to-play MOBA similar to Smite. I think you played a little bit of it too. So it's available on all platforms, right? So you guys on your Xbox, PC, and everything. And it's developed by Omida Studios, which this is their actual first game that they've developed. And the game actually had a buy-to-play early access that came out in December of 2022, and it just fully released a few weeks ago, actually about a month ago, on August 20th. And I played it for a little bit, and it felt extremely similar to Smite. I mean, it's pretty much like a carbon copy, but with different heroes. Although I will say, like this game, like the graphics and animation, like with the hero animations, was actually pretty good. I was actually really impressed with how the heroes looked. I'd almost say it was better than Smite as far as like how everybody looked. I did like the game mode. It's called Brawl, which if you play League of Legends, it's an ARAM where you got one single lane with your instead of your typical three like in MOBAs with the jungle and everything like that. Now, when I was actually playing, the gameplay felt like very glitchy and not smooth. And it's like my character or hero was kind of clipping all over the place. And I'm not sure if that's just because they got some things to update, but it almost felt like I was playing like on an old computer, and I got an i9 and a 4080, so that kind of made me not really want to play it, so I definitely think they need to fix some things on their end to get it running smoothly with how unfluid, the movement felt. Definitely made me too. Like I played, I think like one or two games, and I was like, yeah, I can't play this anymore.
Really?
Yeah. It was in a era where we have quite a few MOBAs coming out. I was kind of like, because I know Smite 2 came out this year too, and I know you play a lot of like the MOBAs where you move with your WASD movement keys instead of the click to move like your typical like League of Legends. So I was kind of curious about this, seeing that it was free to play, and yeah, I just honestly, man, like even though like the graphics and stuff like that I feel like are better than Smite, like I 100% like did not like this game. I say it was cool, like the graphics, like you can tell the art team like did really good with it, but like the thing that like really like kind of made me not even want to, I just uninstalled it, that made me really not want to play it anymore, is like as soon as you complete the tutorial and like you get to that home screen, the first thing you see on there is like an option to buy a skin for the hero Steel. And it's like, we've talked about this before, like we're not against selling skins. I'm not against company or these games selling skins, especially for your free to play live service games, but it shouldn't be like the first thing you see. Like it literally says like, buy this skin, and like right there in the main menu, it's like there's a store option, so put it there. Don't put it right in your main menu. right? So I think like overall, like I'd say it's decent, but if it wants to compete with Smite 2, it's definitely got some updating to do. And honestly, like I'd rather wait for Deadlock and play that.
I guess what would you rather play, Smite or this game?
Oh, dude, Smite 100%. I mean, I played Smite,
Really?
yeah, with Smite 2, yeah, 100%. The game, like I said, the heroes were really cool. I think they did a fantastic job with how they looked. It was just the gameplay. Like again, if you're moving and your character, when the movement doesn't feel smooth, it's just unenjoyable. Like, yeah, I'm not going to play this, right?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I played a little bit of it as well, and I again like kind of like you said, it was fun. It was enjoyable. I think my biggest gripe is it just took so long to get into a game. I think I was waiting in queue for about 10 minutes trying to get into a game, not playing against bots because I don't know if there's difficulty modes to increase the difficulty with the bots, but it just felt very underwhelming playing against bots. And
were you
I
playing the
think
brawl mode or like the normal 3-lane mode?
I was just playing the normal mode.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna boot it up again. I'm just just gonna stick to Smite.
It's definitely enjoyable to waste some time, but again, like you said, with there being so many different MOBAs out there, whether it's League, Dota, Smite, this game, and then Deadlock coming out, and even Blizzard's Heroes of the Storm, you could play that as well. There's just so many different options, and it's very difficult to kind of go into a new one and put time into it and invest money into it if you want to get skins and just play this over something else.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to release a game, it needs to be polished. It can't be, like I said, Movement Dude was just not fun at all. Yeah. So an article was put out by Game Rant that mentions that there's a Ubisoft investor saying that the company should go private and believes that management needs to change. Now, we've talked a lot about Ubisoft and a lot of stuff that's been going on with them, and I mean, I definitely agree on the management change. Like, as their last good game, in my opinion, was probably like Assassin's Creed Origins, which came out in 2017. And in like any other industry, like when your company's stock value is being driven down by poor results, usually that means like something needs to change. Like, what's your opinion on that?
It's interesting because I don't know if you got a chance to really look into the situation that's kind of going on. These new investors kind of came in, put in a bunch of money, and after the flop of Star Wars, they're basically trying to force almost like a corporate takeover, get the CEO out, I think it's Galindo brothers. I'm not 100% sure what the name of the family is, but there's the family that's kind of been involved with Ubisoft for a long time, and they're really trying to push them out. It does seem like every time that there's a dip in the stock, they always kind of tend to recover, but again, with the amount of flops that this company has had recently with X Defiant, then you had Star Wars, and even now with the Assassin's Creed game coming out, there seems to not be a whole lot of hype surrounding this game, which is crazy because you have such a big IP with Assassin's Creed. I think Assassin's Creed game tend to do fairly well, but there's been a lot of people complaining the gameplay doesn't look fun. There's issues with DEI in this, making a Black Samurai. They even had to issue an apology to Japan.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, oh yeah, I saw that.
So it's like when things like this happen, and it's difficult because I think gaming as a whole tends to not do well when you're a publicly traded company. I don't think it's very rare to see a company that does well because you're going to have games like this that just don't do great in the market. And when you're really having to focus as an organization to make sure that you're making money for your shareholders and you're constantly meeting earnings, it makes it difficult to make tough decisions because sometimes to make a good game, you do have to kind of take a loss and then possibly recover or even continue to support the game. And eventually you'll see some sort of ROI. Yeah. But it's harder. And this is kind of the reason why they want to steer more so towards the private sector, is because now they don't necessarily have to worry about making earnings. They can just kind of focus on putting out good content, put out the good content. And then if you lose money, you lose money, but you're kind of hoping to recoup that in the future with whether it's having the game be a live service game and you're just constantly updating it
Yeah.
You see something similar with like No Man's Sky that was getting shitted on the entire time, and then a year or two later, it just kind of recovered.
Yeah, it definitely had a turnaround with it. Now, I'm sure you saw this. It's say that this is actually like Ubisoft's actually at a 10-year all-time low with their stock price. And like agree with you 100%. Like it is hard for a publicly traded company. Like you have to appease to those shareholders. Like obviously you got shareholders too, from private investors. But like when you have a publicly traded company, like that's your main, right? That's all they care about is, am I going to get my investment back? They don't care. They're not looking 5-10 years down the road. Like, oh yeah, maybe we'll get, a better game and recoup this money. We may have to be at a loss. Like they don't want to be on a loss at all, right? They want to constantly be making profit. So I'm hoping like if they go private, like that maybe they can get some more capital from more private or from other private investors, and in turn put out better games, because like they don't really have games that are as popular nowadays, like like Black Myth Wukong and Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. And I think maybe again if they got more capital from private investors, maybe they can put out some better titles. If not this year, next year. Whenever if they do decide to go private.
It's crazy because Ubisoft is, for me, like they've put out some of the games that I've enjoyed the most in my entire life, whether it's Far Cry, Splinter Cell, Assassin's Creed. Like they've put out so many really good games. Watch Dogs. They could honestly just kind of go back and just kind of re-release some of these, not necessarily re-release, but like just continue to grow the IP, and ideally, hopefully not try to ruin it. I think Watch Dogs Legions, I was very hyped when that game was coming out. Watch Dogs 2 was incredible for me. It was such a fun time. I spent hours and hours playing that game. So when the third iteration was announced, I was fairly excited. I pre-ordered it. I was ready to play the game, and I think within 1 to 2 hours I just dropped it. It was a waste of $60-$70 that whatever I paid for it. And it sucks to see, but you have an organization like Ubisoft that's kind of under the same spectrum of like the whole ideology of go woke or go broke.
Yeah.
Where they're just trying so hard to appease to a very vocal minority. And I think the thing people tend to forget is gaming is universal. Like I think trying to force diversity into an industry that's already diversified, like no one cares when you're playing a game. You're playing. Everyone gets to play the same character. Everyone gets to experience the story of the main character. You're not necessarily worried about whether you're being, you have a character that you can kind of connect with. Like,
yeah, you don't care if they're black, white, gay, straight, lesbian. Like it don't matter.
And the game doesn't care that you're any of those either. It's one of those things too. It's like you can go into, even if it's a multiplayer game, you can go in there and play, and no one cares what you are, what you look like. You're just playing the game. It's enjoyable. 100%. Everyone's having fun. If the game is fun, then it's going to be fun. And again, Ubisoft has been in the limelight for going through and doing stuff that people just really don't want. I think recently, I think they started doing this a couple years ago too. They have almost like an internship program where it's their whole concept is they want to promote other genders being able to come into an industry such as gaming. So they have it marketed almost as like, if you're a man, you're not going to get this internship. It's either a woman or identify as a woman.
Discrimination.
Yeah. And again, it's like we said, it's one of those things where gaming is universal already. If you just put out a good game, no one cares about anything else. I don't care if there's a Mexican in the game. I could care less, and I'm sure you don't care if there's a white guy in the game. It's just you just want a game that's good with a good story, and that's it. But when you try to force things down our throats, like with Assassin's Creed,
the new one too, dude.
Yeah, but the new Assassin's Creed, I don't know if you've looked into it at all. They kind of they had these people that put out basically fake stories to kind of try to prove their point that there was some sort of black samurai back in the day, and this is why they chose to have the main protagonist be a black samurai.
I was reading on it, with the whole apology issued out by him.
Yeah, So it's
Yeah.
it's crazy that they kind of go to these lengths to just try to force diversity down our throats.
Well, like, we've talked about this like numerous times that consumers are more now than ever like speaking with their wallets. The games that you were talking about, like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, like all those games are like 7, 8+ years old, and they haven't really made, like I said, haven't really done anything that's been really good. And we're seeing this whole wokeness with these games that go woke or go broke. I mean, they are going broke for going woke. Look at Concord, look at Alan Wake 2, look at Spider-Man 2. I mean, all these games, was Justice League game. Everybody, their games are failing because they're trying way too hard to appease everybody. And like you said, it doesn't matter. As you as a person, it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, black, white, Mexican, Asian. Like when you're playing the game, you're not you're that character, right? You're not you. So it doesn't matter. And so I think if they can put something out without spinning this whole wokeness into it, I think they can turn this all around. But I mean that's just my honest opinion. And so last week, speaking of last week, we were talking about kind of like Sony, how they don't have like their Super Mario, like Nintendo, or Master Chief like Xbox and Microsoft. So a game that just came out, Astrobot, we had kind of talked about this. The community is saying this may be that answer. This may be PlayStation's or Sony's Super Mario. Now, currently, Astrobot is actually like the highest rated standalone game of 2024 so far, according to Metacritic, and it's on a lot of lists as possible game of the year, with other games on that, such as like Black Myth and Helldivers being mentioned as well. And like to be on that list is amazing, and it's insane too, considering the game just released September 6th. Right, you were kind of talking about this, so like, what's your opinion on it? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's one of those games that, again, it's just universally loved. Whether it's you enjoy platformers or you enjoy being able to see characters from your past, I think that's one of the things that I've been seeing a lot of people kind of praising the game. It's putting some of these old characters that kind of got forgotten about, whether it's Jack and Dexter. I know Kratos is fairly well known, but there's a bunch of other ones that people just don't want to say who all you can find, because they don't want to ruin that surprise that people are getting when they see these characters that they grew up on just all over the world. And
just on that real quick, there are 80 different levels too, so there's a good chance you might see somebody in there.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, again, the game just reminds you of how big the PlayStation world really is. Like, there's so many great games that have come out under the PlayStation umbrella,
and it's an
great
exclusive.
To see.
It's an exclusive. Yeah. I was
and
so pissed when I saw that.
Yeah, people are definitely saying that this game kind of is up there with some of the best Mario games, which is great praise. I love platformer games, and I've been kind of on the side of like whether or not I want to buy a PlayStation 5, and
just for
seeing games like, well, no, not just for this game, but like seeing games like this where it's like you see a game that you're going to enjoy and you're going to play a bunch. And I think a lot of people are kind of going out of their way to try to platinum this game. Like, people, I've seen creators that very rarely platinum games. They just finish the game, but they just want to do as much as they can with this game and unlock every single little thing that they can. I think it looks great. And again, whether or not this sells as well as Sony is hoping, it's pretty cool to see when you see a game that gets praised as much as this is.
Well, I was watching some gameplay on it, and it's like one of those games that I could see myself, with my PlayStation out in the living room, dumping hours into it, and then my daughter would be able to pick it up. She, like I said, she's 7, and then even like Megan, my wife, it's a game that appeals, like you said, to like everyone, And if you haven't seen the game, or if you know what we're talking about, it's a free to play 3D action performer, like I said, with 80 different levels to beat. And I was honestly like amazed by it, dude. Like, the gameplay, it looked super fun, and like the graphics are very good. And one of the things that I was reading that were praised about it was like it really takes advantage of like everything that the PS5 offers and putting it into the game. And I think that this game right now is proof that games really don't need to be overly complicated, and sometimes players just want to be taken back to the basics. And it's funny that you had mentioned like Mario, because I feel like if Mario was made in 2024, this is what it would be like. Right, this game kind of also shows, you know, like I said, what can be done on a PlayStation, and it's kind of setting that standard for future developers as well as to show like how powerful this system is and what exactly can be done on it.
Yeah,
I'm almost tempted, I said, to get a PlayStation, even as just because like I said, this game, man, it looked so cool, man. It like I said, it looked like a super new, you know, like Sony's spin on like a Mario, and it was awesome looking.
this is one of those games where you kind of wish that this whole exclusivity thing didn't exist, because
that's what I was saying, man.
I think if this game was on PC, it would be huge.
Well, the first thing I did was look up. I'm like, is this game available on PC? And it's like, no, just PlayStation.
But every console kind of needs their game to really have you contemplate, like, okay, I need a PlayStation. I need to get a PlayStation. And every console is always going to have some exclusivity, but I think PC should kind of supersede that. I think every game that gets released should be released on PC immediately.
Yeah, you can plug. The thing is one of the things they were talking about with it being so hard for PC too is the game takes advantage of like the whole analog, you know, joystick or something like that, or the DualShock, whatever it's called for the PlayStation. It's like all those things can be plugged into a PC too. Right? I mean, Xbox has its Game Pass that you can get on PC. Like, maybe Sony should put something out that we can get this game, because, dude, I would sit here and I would play it nonstop if I was able to. I mean, the game is like looks that good.
Yeah.
So, a game that hasn't been talked about recently is making headlines with the announcement of a PS5 port possibly coming soon. Now, this was hinted from the upcoming Tokyo Game Show, which will be here September 26th. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Palworld, it's pretty much Pokemon, but on crack and more multiplayer friendly. Now, Steve, I know we played quite a bit of it, and you know the kind of games I like. Like, I love the building, you know, survival kind of, you know, open world aspect to it, and this is one of the few open world games that I've actually enjoyed. So, what's your opinion on it possibly coming to PS5?
When I originally saw this partnership, I was kind of blown away, because it's almost like Sony is throwing a big middle finger at Nintendo and saying, "Oh, you got Pokemon. Okay, we're going to go and invest. Yeah, we're going to go connect with this organization here that's basically doing what y'all are doing, but better." Because realistically, Palworld is everything that people that play Pokemon have ever wanted. I think there's a couple things here and there that they can kind of throw in, that Palworld can kind of throw in there to make it feel more like Pokemon, with like Pokemon battles against other people, or even sort of gym leaders. I didn't play too much of it. I think we got probably like 10-ish hours on that game. So I know there's bosses that you can go and defeat, but throwing something on there to kind of keep the players coming back, I think is great. But this partnership with Sony is huge, because it's exposing people that didn't get to play the game initially because they don't have a PC, and all they have is this PlayStation. I think it's going to be great. I think, again, kind of going back to what we were talking about, Astrobot, I think anytime you can have a game on multiple platforms, it's amazing, because you just get more and more players that are able to play your game and enjoy it. And if it's a good 100%. Game, it's going to do well.
Yep. I was going to say, man, with Astrobot, and with the possibility of Palworld, like, you'd almost be dumb to, and it sounds rude, you'd almost be dumb not to get a PlayStation over Xbox, you know. And Palworld, man, if those 10 hours that we played definitely felt longer. I mean, we spent like how many hours like just building our base, and you know, we were, like he mentions the dungeons, it was so funny. We were sitting there. I was throwing like the lowest level PAL balls that we had inside of the, you know, in the dungeons, hoping, you know, with the 0.01% chance that our PAL ball will capture it, and it we're just spamming them at the freaking bosses, dude. And I think, you know, definitely see a lot of success, to PS5, and like you said, you want these games. Like, yes, we need exclusivity, right? PlayStation needs the games that are gonna make people buy a PlayStation. Xbox needs the games that's gonna make you go to the Xbox. But when everybody's able to play it, it just kind of, I mean, it brings that game to a whole nother level, of success than if it was just on one. So, speaking of PlayStations, dude, so they launched a new page on its website, basically stating that they'll be offering a refurbished PS5 now, right? A refurbished one with the disc driver for $399.99 and the digital edition at $349.99. So that comes out to like about $100 discounts. So what do you think about that? Would this make you consider possibly getting one?
I mean, this is definitely a great option for people that want the console. I think you already see companies like GameStop and Best Buy doing fairly well in the console market, selling refurbished products. Again, I think the biggest barrier to entry for gaming is money. Gaming is very expensive, whether it's you play on console or you play on PC. PC, I think, has the highest barrier to entry because a good PC is fairly expensive. And that's kind of what console provides. It really gives you a fairly inexpensive access to a lot of these games. You're still paying 60, 70 plus dollars, whether it's a month or however many games you're purchasing. You're constantly having to buy games, buy controllers. So having a much easier to really manage price point is great. I think anything that can make gaming cheaper and more accessible is great.
Well, most of the systems now allow you the option to be able to plug in a mouse and keyboard. So somebody, I mean, realistically, you probably could just, instead of, spending the $2,000-3,000 plus dollars on a good rig, buy a new Xbox or PlayStation and plug those things in. And I mean, again, it's not going to be the same thing. I mean, you're not going to get everything in super ultra, definition like we would. But it's I agree 100% with you that the entry to this stuff should be a lot lower, and I also agree. Like, I think this is a great idea for those who can't afford the $500 price tag of a brand new one, especially considering, according to the website, that it's a certified refurbished, right? So I'd imagine like that would include things like a guarantee, of no issues. I kind of like to think of it like buying a certified used car. As long as you're guaranteeing me a working product, then I don't see any issue with it.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of like, I don't know how many times I went to GameStop, and bought like a used game, and all, what they would do is they just put it into the console to show you that it worked. So again, if like I said, it's very expensive to get into gaming. So I think it's a move in the right direction. Like Sony is just like hitting home run after home run with everything, man. It's insane. And it's funny too, not funny, but the price, man. So the PS5 Pro, I don't know if you seen the price of this thing, dude. It's $700, right?
Yeah.
It's making it the third most expensive PlayStation console ever made. Now, I am very lucky we don't live in a place like Japan where they did the conversion rate for the cost of this. It's going to cost them roughly $850 for it, and people in the UK are going to be expected to be seeing the price point of about $918. And it's like, at what point does it just become cheaper to purchase it here and ship it to them, instead of buying it in their own country?
Yeah, and I think honestly what Sony is doing is they're trying to see how high they can go. Mostly, I think they're looking at what the next gen is going to look at. They want to kind of try and figure out what price point people are willing to pay. I think the people that want the better quality playing experience are going to purchase the PlayStation Pro. I don't think your average gamer is gonna buy it. I think the big issue that people are having with putting such a high price point is realistically a lot of the better games that PlayStation has to offer are PlayStation 4 games. So you're really paying $700 to play a game that came out 5-6 years ago, when honestly it's playing it on PlayStation 5 is probably good enough. And I think I've seen some side to side comparisons, and it's not that not that much better.
It's
You're
almost
looking
like
at
they
going
get it
from
just to say they got it.
yeah, I think the people that are going to buy it are going to buy it no matter what. People want to play games at 60 FPS and not necessarily worry about whether they're playing in performance mode or they want to see the best quality games. I think my biggest thing is it's really creating less and less of a separation between your PC gaming and console gaming. I think people that enjoy playing video games would purchase a console because they can't necessarily afford to get a PC, because PC, again, it's a much bigger barrier to entry than what a
your
console
graphics
is.
card costs as much, if not more, than a whole system.
Yeah, but now that you're looking at $700, realistically you can buy a very good entry level PC for $700. So it's going to have people thinking now. I think people are definitely going to be contemplating more and more as to like, okay, do I just buy a PC or am I going to buy a PlayStation Pro?
Well, I mean, with games like Astrobot and possibly Palworld, I think the option's pretty clear. But I
mean,
agree with you.
PC,
I agree.
I think PC is just it just exposes you to so much more. I think whenever I switch to PC gaming and the amount of content that you have at your fingertips with a PC is just insane. Like I don't think
it's not just
I
for
could,
gaming either.
Yeah. But again, even just looking at games, like just Steam alone, where you have probably hundreds of thousands of different games. I think I'm finding a new game every single day. And
you said you had like 8,000 games on your library?
I have a lot of games, and I have a lot of games that I buy that sometimes I don't even get to play because I see that it's on sale and it's like, okay, this looks kind of cool. Let me buy it and see if maybe I'll play it one day. And realistically, maybe play it for an hour, maybe not play it at all.
You got enough games to last you through retirement, bro.
Yeah. If I really wanted to, I could go back and I could play games. Like I think I've bought Witcher 3 like 4 or 5 times. Whether it's on console, I bought it on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. I bought it on PS5. I bought it on Steam. Again, it's one of those things where it's like I see games that are on sale. Sometimes it's really hard to pass up a game that you've played maybe back in the day and it's on sale for like $2. Like I bought Fallout New Vegas. It was on sale for $3 a couple of weeks ago, and I love that game. And am I going to go back and play it? Probably not. I might, but it was $3, and for that price point, for that price point, I was like, okay, I'll spend $3 on a game that I had a lot of fun with. Maybe I'll go back and play it. Maybe I won't, but.
Okay, Sony, you guys need to put Astrobot out for PC because we want to get it. I'm not going to buy your PlayStation, man. Yeah, it's insane, like just how much more you have, like you said, at your fingertips with the PC. And as you said, I wouldn't doubt, like if PlayStation and them start raising their prices, that people just ditch the consoles altogether and just say screw it, let's get a computer. Like you said, you could just the possibilities are freaking endless on a PC. And like you said too, you could get a great entry level computer for probably actually a little cheaper than this. You could probably spend about like $500 and get something that's going to play 95% of games, maybe not at the highest graphics, but at least get you into it. You know,
and that's the difference too with PC gamers and console gamers is I think as a PC gamer you kind of become accustomed to, okay, the game isn't going to look that great. If I want to play it and not have any performance issues, I'm going to have to decrease the quality if my computer isn't powerful enough to handle it. But one of those things is like as you kind of start upgrading your PC, you kind of start seeing the improvements in the quality and you just kind of get addicted to it. And once you have a good PC and you can run everything at the highest possible graphics, like I ran games like when Cyberpunk first came out, I had absolutely zero issues running it. Like I wasn't running into any of the issues that people were running into. Same thing with Black Myth Wukong. Like I watched a couple of people play it on TikTok and Twitch, and just seeing how the graphics looked, I was like, oh, this looks like a completely different game. You see people just stuttering all over the place. And I was like, I didn't encounter any of these issues. Yeah. I was like, okay, I guess this is the difference.
So, dude, it's funny because I actually just upgraded my PC probably like maybe not even a year ago. And I remember playing like Call of Duty or hell, even like World of Warcraft, dude, and I had to have the graphics set all the way down. And it's like, you're right, as soon as you kind of upgrade, it's like a totally different thing, dude. I mean, you see these people playing like GTA and like Flight Simulator, and it looks so real. And like that's like the great thing about PCs. So to kind of hop into our last segment here, man, Dr. Disrespect, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. He's been all over the media lately. So he just released a video on X of him arriving to, quote unquote, the arena, and he was in a speedboat. Now, this just comes weeks after being outed by an ex-Twitch employee by the name of Cody Connors for messaging a minor and sending inappropriate messages with said minor. Now, Doc, he was originally banned from Twitch back in 2020, and at the time, the reasons were unknown. Nothing was really being, disclosed about it. And it was brought to light recently that these were the reasons why he was banned. Now, my thing on it is, like, if he really was messaging a minor, why, especially again with it being inappropriate and stuff like that, why wasn't he arrested? And then, when he went to court and settled the lawsuit with Twitch, if what he did was illegal, then why did Twitch settle and pay out his contract, right? I'm kind of like, if what he did was illegal and wrong, why are you paying him then? Why is it not being investigated more thoroughly? So what's your take on that?
It's definitely a weird situation where we definitely aren't privy to all the information. I think one of the biggest issues is Dr. Disrespect kind of came out and basically admitted to everything that happened. He agreed to everything the Twitch employee said he was texting a minor that sometimes kind of steered towards being inappropriate. And now he's kind of coming back and saying everything he said previously. He's like, okay, it wasn't true.
He was saying that he used specific keywords so that way the media would pick up on it. And it's like, dude, you're not going to say that you were inappropriately messaging a minor to how many people, right? You're not going to say that.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. Like, if this really was happening, and this is the reason that he was banned from Twitch, it's weird because again, he went to court and they settled outside of court. Twitch paid him. I'm not 100% sure how much Twitch paid him.
It was a couple $1 million.
Yeah, Twitch paid him out, and he was able to go back into YouTube and continue streaming, and nothing happened. Versus if you kind of knew that this is what was going on, I think Twitch could very easily just kind of publicly say, hey, this is the reason. And now Dr. Disrespect basically has no case to really stand on. Again, there's probably some legal issues as to why they couldn't come out and say that, but I almost guarantee that they wouldn't have necessarily settled out of court if this was the reason and paid him out. I think Twitch would have much rather have gone to court and won and basically said your banning was justifiable and this is why you were banned, and kind of release all that information. And again, he's kind of going back to and saying, okay, the messages weren't inappropriate, and people are asking him to release the messages.
I hope he does though. I really hope he does.
Yeah, it's just a weird situation. I'm not 100% sure as to what's going on, and I don't really know which way to kind of to sway. Like I'm definitely for not really villainizing someone until it's 100% been proven, because I think we've seen it happen time and time again where someone—
That's cancel culture for you though.
Yeah, someone gets accused of something and then it just ruins their career, and then a couple years down the road come down and it's like, oh, this person was lying.
Yeah, 100%.
And everything that happened wasn't true.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, okay, this person's career is ruined. They can't do anything anymore. So now what are we supposed to do? Just say sorry? Okay.
Yeah, the damage has already been done. Honestly though, like I hope, like, if the messages do get released, I hope that Twitch as a company burns to the ground. Not like literally, but the fact that they're allowing this to go on, and like I said, if they're hiding this, like, what else has been said by other streamers and other users that maybe they're not fully disclosing out there? It really makes you question, the authenticity of Twitch and the security. I mean, I got a kid, I got a daughter. I don't want to have to worry about, her messaging, when she gets older, messaging somebody who's over the age of 18 and worry that, that this website won't take it seriously. Like, they pay people there to monitor this stuff. And like, I'm so torn on it too, because, the doc, and his video's called The Truth. If you haven't seen it, you can go watch it on his YouTube. He mentions like that the Twitch user that he was mentioning, because again, they haven't released her name yet. Right. So he mentions that the Twitch user that he was messaging never wanted to press charges, and then when asked by Twitch, she didn't want to report anything, and she didn't report anything the whole time that was ever said to her. Now, no pictures were even sent either, according to him. Now, he pretty much like continues on stating that they're talking about this stuff, and that nothing he did was found illegal, and that the person of which he was talking to, was of legal age in their state at the time of the messages. Now, the part that worries me is that the most common age of consent in most U.S. states is 16. And like I was just saying, like, if the person was over the age of 18, I feel like her name would have been made public, right? Like, her name would have been put out there, but it hasn't been released. And this has been an ongoing thing for how long? So, like, why not release the person's name? And then even if she was 18, Doc has a wife, he has a kid, not to mention he's 38 years old at the time. So he's like 42 now. So he was 38 when this all happened. He had to have known that what he was doing was wrong. And I'd hope, as a father myself, and my daughter, even if she was 18, was talking to someone, who was married, had a family, and especially that much older, like, that's a 20-year age difference. If the person he was talking to was 18, like I said, I hope, especially if they're that much older, that they'd realize how inappropriate the situation is. So even if what he did was legally okay, that doesn't make it morally okay, right? There's a huge difference between those two. And that really sucks, because I've been a huge Dr. Disrespect fan for the longest time. I mean, I used to watch him back when I used to play H1Z1, which I consider one of the original battle royales. If you've ever played Player Unknown Battleground, they actually worked. The guy, Player Unknown, was the guy who worked on H1Z1, and H1Z1 kind of fell off after a while. But he started the saying China #1 in the H1Z1 lobbies, and I just hope for his sake and everyone else's sake that the messages come out, and that the truth is revealed, one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't like you said, it's a tough situation, and again, I've watched Dr. Disrespect in the past as well, and I've enjoyed his content. So seeing, it's crazy to say, but it's such a common occurrence with this industry, because a lot of the people that do consume the content are younger. So a lot of the people that they're interacting with on a day-to-day basis are going to be under the age of 18. And it sucks, but I think it's going to continue to happen. You're going to continue to see more and more creators kind of get ousted for whether it's messaging or interacting with people
as they should
under the age of 18 inappropriately. And it's a tough thing to really manage, because again, there's social media doesn't necessarily display private messages unless the people that are responsible for it are exposing the messages. But I think the people that are kind of providing the content, again, like Dr. Disrespect is almost 40. He got ousted for cheating on his wife. He and again, I think it was with multiple people. Yeah. And at the same time, when he was cheating on his wife, he was messaging this person inappropriately. Whether they were under the age of 18 or not, we don't necessarily know. But it's hard to make a unbiased opinion when we don't really know the information. We don't know everything that's going on. So I think until any of that information is made clear to us, it's hard to make a decision.
Yeah, and like you said too, like, he had put out this tweet basically confirming everything.
Yeah.
And then now he's saying, no, I specifically used words to bait, the media. And it's like, again, dude, you're not going to say that stuff. You're not going to say that stuff if you didn't do it. It almost feels more like damage control. Now, there's a general consensus going on that if Dr. Disrespect doesn't sue this Cody Connors guy, then that's pretty much him admitting, like, yeah, it's all true, right? Because this is a huge defamation. This is a huge case going on right now, right? This guy, I mean, he pulls in like 60 to 100,000 viewers every single stream, man. So it's definitely all over the place, and the truth needs to come out one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm definitely waiting to see, and before I make a decision. I think one of the I don't know if you saw how like Nick Merckx is kind of getting dragged into this, and people are kind of spamming him saying, why didn't you wait for all the information? And his thought process was the exact same as ours. It's like he came out, he said he did the stuff. Yeah. So it's like now he's kind of coming around and backtracking. It's like, what am I supposed to believe? It's like, I cut my ties with him because he admitted to doing this inappropriately, and I don't support that. So because of what he said, I'm just not gonna fuck with him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I would do the same thing if it was somebody that I knew. If you admitted to it, see you, man. I don't. There's no reason to put that out there and say that stuff unless it's true.
100%.
So some upcoming games, we got Final Fantasy 16 is coming out on PC September 17th. We got Enotria, The Last Song, is coming out September 19th. You got God of War Ragnarok on PC coming out September 19th. And then you got the Karate Kid Street Rumor coming out September 20th. Now, I was on Steam a little bit ago, and there are a lot of like good games right now going on sale. So if you're looking for some games to pick up, here's a few that like I highly recommend you check out. You got God of War coming in at 60% off, only at $19.99. You got the whole Forza franchise is having a sale where every game but the Horizon 4 game is 50% off, and Horizon 4 is 80% off. You got Helldivers 2, 20% off at $31.99. This is a game you like, Steve. We've played this before. Gunfire Reborn is 35% off at $12.99. No Man's Sky, 60% off at $23.99. And Days Gone, which I'm probably going to pick up today, is 75% off at $12.49. Now, again, if you're looking for a new game or something like Steve does, where he buys the games on sale and throws them into his library of thousands of already downloaded games, these are definitely some games that you should check out. So that's it for today's episode of No BS. If you enjoyed the unfiltered conversations, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube at No BS Podcast GG. Don't forget to connect with us on X at No BS Podcast GG for all the latest updates and more. Catch me on TikTok as well at Blake No BS. We appreciate you listening, and we'll be back next week with more straight talk. No BS.